Hi, welcome. In today's class, we'll be addressing the lower back and the middle back. We'll be using 2 blankets, a bolster, and a strap. If you don't have any of those things, don't worry, but it would be good if you had a few props around you. So if you don't have blankets, get some towels, have a chair, any kind of chair, kitchen chair is fine, and a wall would be good, or a piece of furniture like a couch, okay? So thanks for joining me. Let's get started. Before we get started, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please give it a like. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe and don't forget to click the bell so that you are notified when the new videos are uploaded. Now let's get started. All right, before we get started, I just want to say that if you have any really intense pain, lower back, then you'll do these gently. Don't press too much, don't do too much. If what we're doing is not feeling right, then back away from it. So it's a general kind of sequence just to have in your toolkit when you're having kind of a feeling maybe your low back is not 100%. So it's some preventative things, but also some things that will help to release the lower back and the middle back, okay? So we'll start by coming onto all fours into the cat-cow position, and you'll use your breath. So taking whatever you're sitting on away, knees are underneath your hips, and your hands are underneath your shoulders. So your arms are connecting with the upper body, and the legs are connecting with the lower spinal column. All right, so bringing your weight onto your hands, keep your arms straight, keep your feet pressing down into the floor, and you'll use your breath to move back and forth. So as you exhale, you're going to want to create a arch. So the head is going down, the tailbone is going down, and as you exhale, the abdomen moves towards your lower back. And as I said, if you're having any low back issues, just go slowly with this. So you're lifting your hips, you're lifting your head. So this is one way to find out what's happening and how your back is feeling. So we just bring a little bit of movement into the back, into the whole spine, from the head to the tailbone. So as you inhale, lift up, and do that and synchronize. So the hips and the head are lifting at the same time, and the middle of the back is moving down toward the floor, as is the abdomen. And then exhaling. So our abdominal body and muscles support the lower back. Also, if you're too strong with that muscular action in the abdomen, that could cause some lower back issues. So just go gentle with this, spreading, widening, releasing the head, going slowly with each breath. We'll take a few more. So as you lift the head, lift the hips, exhaling, reversing that. Pressing with the hands, straightening the arms. Knees are pressing down and you're lifting up. And then coming back into that neutral position with the spine. And you'll come now into forward Virasana. So you'll take your knees wide. I want you to sit back on your heels just to begin with. Coming up. You can take a bolster here and bring the bolster between the legs. So you're bringing it all the way up to the pelvis, so that when you come forward, the whole back and front body is resting on that bolster. So if you don't have a bolster, I'll show that also, but just here to complete with using the bolster, let the whole front body and descend the back body, so resting on that bolster. So here you're lengthening forward. You're moving your tailbone down, so descending. Your lower back is anchoring back, and you're extending through the whole side trunk. So you can bring your head onto a blanket or a little bit of support, or you can turn your head either side, and then bring your forehead onto the blanket. So when you're here, you're going to breathe into the back body. If you don't have a bolster, then you can just come forward, same way, and you can use a block or something else to rest your head on and turn the head. So as you come down, position the block so that when you turn your head, you're on your temple area, and press the hips back. You can actually just be right on the forehead for this one, taking a few breaths. So if you do have some inflammation right now and pain, trying to take that support, that bolster, and then we'll go to the side. So you'll turn, so the trunk is turning over the front leg, and you can use that block to rest your head on, or you'll take the bolster to the side. So if you're using a bolster, if you have a bolster as a prop, then you can just move the bolster to the side and then come down. If you don't have a blanket, you can bring your arms onto that bolster and just be there. So the idea is you want to open up the back here, the lower back. You want it heavy and descending so that all of these back muscles that get tense can spread and the front body can release back. Okay, and then when you come up, you can just go to the other side. So making sure you hug that bolster in toward the pelvis so that when you come down, the abdomen is supported. Now here, we're lengthening on the other side. So let your head descend down and completely feel that the hips and the thighs are releasing down and away from the head. So you're on your front of your feet, your toes. Relax the foot, relax the ankle. Release your shin bones down. Stay with the breath. Breathe into the back body. And again, if you didn't have that bolster, you would just take the block to the side, extend your arms, and turn your head. So whichever you have, the bolster or just a block or something that you can rest your head on. Stay there, breathe into the back. Keep the arms extending and lengthening, which will help to lengthen. Lengthen the lower back, or broaden the low back, and keep it anchored while you lengthen right through the middle part of the back. And then come back to the center. Walk your hands forward. Keep the fingers spread, the hands pressing down. If you're going to be here a while, you can come onto your forearms, and with the elbows pressing down, move the weight back into your hips. So after you've extended the arms and the trunk, just make sure you're not lifting your shoulders. So that's why we extend the arms. And then you'll come up. And now bring the knees together. You sit on the feet. So you're sitting in Vajarasana. Front of the feet's on the floor. Bring your arms out. Interlace your fingers. Urdhva Baddhanguliyasana. So the fingers are interlinked and your palm is pressing out. And use your arms to lift up. So here again, the weight is moving down into the hips, so feel that heaviness in the hips right onto the ankles, and pressing into the floor. So you're sitting on the heels, and then lift up. Bring the hands down, exhaling. Change the cross on the fingers. So if your right index finger was on top, now bring your left index finger on top. Extend the arms. Inhale, reaching up. Stay with your breath. Press into the heel of the hand, press into the mounds of the fingers, pressing the fingers against the front of the hand. Lift up. And exhale, come down. Just rest your arms, rest your hands. Relax your breath. When you breathe, be aware of the abdomen moving towards your lower back so that you can feel the buttocks descending instead of the abdomen moving forward. Use the breath, the exhalation, so the abdomen moves back and supports and kind of fills in the whole lower back. All right, we're going to go onto the floor now. Have a belt, Supta Padangusthasana 1. So you'll come down, and I'm going to come to the wall. Well, actually, I don't need the wall, because I think here, if you're having lower back issues, maybe we'll just start with one knee bent. If you're fine and you're just doing this practice as a preventative for low back and just to access low back and mid back, then you can straighten both legs. All right, so first just straightening your legs so that you see that you're even, and then bend your left knee, and you'll take the leg up and bring that strap right onto the heel. So have the leg in line with the hip here. So both sides of the pelvis are long. And with this foot on the floor, you can press a little bit, which when I press, moves the skin and the flesh of the buttocks down, which then moves the tailbone down and the whole lower back. And when that happens, the abdomen moves down as well. So stay with the bent knee, just to begin with. And as you lift up through that heel, press the heel and pull with the strap. So you're moving that femur bone into the hip socket, and you can feel both sides of the hips even on the floor. All right, use your arms on the strap to move your shoulders down, create broadness through the front of the chest. And just be there and breathe. Bring your breath back to that action you had in cat-cow. As you exhale, releasing the breath down, abdomen down. As you inhale, still feeling the lower back on the floor, just allowing the abdomen to move away. And then as you exhale, again. And then you'll change sides. So bending both knees on the floor, both feet on the floor, one knee bent, take the other side. Have the strap right on your heel. So we want to connect the heel, so we're connecting all the bones. So that bone is moving right down into the hip socket, and you can feel both sides of the hips even. With that right foot, again, pressing, so you can feel that the lower back is lengthening. You can see here, my lower back comes up off the floor. So as I press, and I bring this leg in line, or if you can't bring it in line, just come to a straight position, but you still want to have that femur bone connecting into the hip socket so you feel both hips on the floor. If you can straighten the leg completely at 90 degrees, then do that. Using the foot on the floor, press the heel up, and with the arms, connect back to the shoulders. And then connect back to the breath. Observe if the abdomen is lifting up. As you exhale, let the whole back body spread. Not only through the lower back, but through the middle back. If you have tension there. And then bend that knee. And then take both legs into that strap. Have them wide. You can also do this against the wall, depending on how your back is and your body condition. If this is too much, then bring your legs to the wall. Here again, you're connecting from the heels to the hips. And then bring your legs down. We'll do that one more time. Stay with the knee bent. If at this point you want to bring both legs down, you can bring both legs down. If you're not having some pain, and then you'll come back to Supta Padangusthasana 1. So this thigh is descending, this thigh is moving down toward the floor. And then release. So as I said, I'm showing away from the wall, but you can do this at the wall as well. If you're straightening the leg, then you'll lengthen the heel, keep that leg descending. If you're doing it the second time with the knee bent, have the knee bent and the foot on the floor. And then release. All right, so now just taking the strap to the side, you'll bring both knees into the chest, hug both knees, Pawanmuktasana, interlace your fingers, the front of your shin bone, and stay on the backs of the hips. So don't come to the lower back, stay on the backs of the hips, and bring the thighs toward the abdomen any amount. Relax your toes. Keep the abdomen moving down with each breath as you did before. Just be aware what's happening in your back, what you feel, where you can bring the breath to create a little bit of space, extension, and softness through the back. And now you're going to bring both knees out to the side and bring your feet so they're parallel to the ceiling. You can either hold onto your ankles or you can take the sides of your feet. So either way, you want to bring the thigh closer to the floor so that thighs are parallel to the floor, the shin bone is perpendicular to the floor, and the feet are parallel to the ceiling. And stay on that lower back, so not lifting up, but keep the weight on the lower buttocks, and just be there and breathe. Come back to the abdomen, relax the abdomen down so you can feel the lower back spreading, middle back, upper back. Stay with a soft breath. Just become sensitive to what you feel. Where you may be tightening, where you may be holding, where the breath is not flowing very well. Just keep the breath relaxed. And then take the feet back onto the floor. And now you're going to have a bolster. Okay, so I have the bolster right here. You're going to take your bolster and bring it to the side. And first, I'm just lifting my hips up and turning them a little bit so they're coming off center now. And taking the arms out to the side. Adjust my shoulders so the shoulder blades are moving down. The whole spine is lengthened. And use your feet on the floor to, again, lengthen the tops of the back pelvis. And then bring your legs up and over so that when you bring your legs onto that bolster, you can adjust the bolster so that your knees and your calves and your feet are on that bolster. You can take your other hand and bring it there. Just rest one arm on the floor, take the other hand and bring it onto the knee. You want to lift up here so that depending on your body and your condition, what you're able to do, if you can lift up more, if you need to keep that down, then just adjust the upper back, the upper chest, and be there. So if you don't really have any sort of back issue, you're just doing this as preventative, then you'll lift up here. You can get a little bit stronger twist by turning. Let the legs relax and keep the lower back more perpendicular to the floor. So just as a restorative, you can release that hip down. And with your breath, feel the breath in the abdomen area, soft breath, and turn. And then we'll come on to this other side. All right, so adjust your bolster, and then bring your feet, your hips back into the center, shift them off to the other side, and then you'll roll over onto that outer thigh again. Rest the calves, rest the foot, And here, this shoulder gets kind of thrown under the bus. So you have to press your elbows and lift up, turn the back. So I'm turning my left shoulder blade and left shoulder and upper back. So now my chest is facing up toward the ceiling. So we did that on the other side too, but here you can see a little better. All right, and then bring your arms out, press your one hand onto your leg, and then just be there. So you're going to feel some stretching through the outer side. Breathe into the abdomen area, and keep that breath soft and relaxed. And just let the chest turn a bit. Keep the arm relaxed. You can either have the hand here, you can have the hand here, or bring the arm out to the side. Whichever is going to be better for you as you stay sensitive to your body and what's happening. You can even turn the head so that you start to lengthen these scalene muscles, which are on the side of the neck. Just more for the shoulders and the upper back, but if that seems appropriate for you, then just do that. And then bring the head back, and then you'll come back, feet onto the floor. Take your bolster away, and then roll onto your side and press yourself up. Okay? And now you're going to lie down on the mat. I think you can use the bolster again. So you're going to come down with the bolster underneath the chest. Bring the chest onto the bolster, stretch out through the legs, press the tailbone down, and bring your forearms onto the floor. So have the hands shoulder distance apart, elbows down, forearms down, and then bring the middle back, kind of lengthen it forward, scooping it toward that bolster, lift the chest. As you do that, keep the tailbone moving down, lower back moving down. So again, you want that length from the lower back, and then with the hands, the arms, and that movement toward the bolster, you can lengthen the middle part of the back. Just be there. Then just release down, stretch your arms out, move your head down. We'll do it again, so you can either do it the same way, or you can take the bolster away and just come down flat on the floor, have your forearms in the same position. Kind of scrubbing those fingers back, pull the fingers back, move the middle back forward, lift the chest. So keep the feet anchored, the fronts of the ankles anchored, fronts of the thighs feeling as if they're lifting up as you descend the buttocks, and then lengthen forward. Breathe. So make sure you're not hunching with the shoulders, but your shoulders are moving down to your elbows. Okay, and then release from that. Come one more time into forward Virasana. Lengthen the lower back, extend the arms. And then come up. So while we're here on the floor, we're just going to take this bolster, and depending on your body condition, let's see how you go. So this is going to help with the outer hips, the muscles of the outer hips and the hip socket, which is nice to open up. You can come down onto the front of that bolster and just let your leg come in. So your hips are supported. So here, you're bringing both hips onto that bolster and you're lifting up, pressing back through that back foot. And then if you can, if it's appropriate, bring your arms back onto the floor. Keep extending through that back leg and keep descending this hip down. You'll feel some sensation in your right hip. So just stay with that, breathe into it. So it's a great one for opening through the back of the hips, back of the leg. So not staying too long. You're going to come up. You can just stand up, walk the other foot forward, and then come down. Be on your knee. Walk your knee back. Move your foot over. And then let this hip rest down. So this is an externally rotated leg. The top of your hip is on that bolster, and then walk the other leg back. Now, if this is too much to have the leg parallel, you can bring the leg closer to the bolster like I had the first one. If you've been working with this pose a while, you can come a little bit deeper. So the lower back is broadening, and there's more weight on this side. So bring more weight onto this side. Stay on your arms or stay up higher, whichever you need to do. Breathe into the lower hip. Extend back through that back leg, pressing the foot, moving that right pelvis onto the bolster. And then coming down. And when you come down a little bit, you can feel more stretch in the back of the legs. Stay with that. Breathe into it. So it's a pain that's going to go away afterwards. So if you can breathe right into the belly of where you feel the greatest sensation with each breath. And if you can go further, you just take your hands forward and lengthen the back. Not staying too long in that one either. So coming up, take your bolster away. Okay, and now we're going to get a chair. So in this chair, we'll first face it toward the wall, and I'm going to bring my feet to the wall. Okay, so again, we're going to be lengthening. I'm sitting right on the sitting bones. The legs are straight. Using my legs, the action of my legs to be able to lift and lengthen through the spine. Just walk your hands up the wall, coming forward any amount that you can. Walking your hands up. So as your hips are anchored back again, use the wall now to get that extension through the side trunk, especially the middle back, and lengthen the tailbone down. Take a few breaths there. Observe what you feel in your legs. Keep the heels pressing down, kneecaps lifted. And then release. Come away from the wall. Now I'm going to turn my chair to the side. I'm going to come into Vajarasana with the chair. So you'll sit with your feet together, your knees together, and be more onto your sitting bones. So come to the front edge of that chair. All right. Sometimes when we're in class, we bring a strap right to the middle of the back. So that helps to get that openness and that flexibility in the middle of the back. So if I were there with you, I'd have a strap here and I'd start to turn. Okay, so you're going to do that on your own with the chair. So one, you can see the shoulder is moving away, so this hand will be helping me to move in that direction, and this hand will help to move away. So I'm getting into that twisting action again. So moving slowly with your own body, with what you're feeling. Be sensitive. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, turn. Keep the shoulders descending. And with each breath, you're going to lengthen up a little bit more. And with each exhalation, that's your inhalation, exhalation, you'll turn. So what happens a lot is the knees start to move forward. See if you can be aware that you want to keep lengthening the knee that's closest to the chair, that leg, so that you're not just shifting your hips, but you're actually getting a little bit of rotation through the spine. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn. Keep your spine perpendicular to the floor. How do you know that when you're in the chair? Feel where the sitting bones are. So sit equally on your sitting bones. Now lift the front chest. Exhale, turn. Take a few breaths. And then release. And then we'll swivel in the chair. Just come to the other side. So taking the hands again, low enough. So if you're quite tall, then just feel where you have to place the hands so that your shoulders are not lifting up. So you don't have to have the hands here at the top. You can have the hands lower. So position the hands where your body condition calls for that adjustment. Inhale, lengthen this inner leg that's closer to the chair. Keep the knees together, the feet together. Inhale, lengthen up. Observe where you are in your sitting bones. Exhale, turn. So be gentle here, especially if you have any kind of back problems happening right now. But this is great to bring some circulation to the whole spinal column, but especially that middle part of the back that's so hard to get to. The lower back is very flexible, so is the cervical spine. So that middle part of the back, if there's any kind of blockage there or you're not getting any kind of movement, then it can translate into the issues down through the lower back and upward. So the whole spinal column is connected. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn. All right, release. And then face forward. And now you're going to come into the chair and bring one foot. So I think sit back so you're on your sitting bones. So I have my right heel on the chair. And then bring your arm inside. From there, just have your hand on the chair rail. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn. So I'm using this arm and the leg to press up against to create length, lifting, and also a turn. So the leg is pressing into the arm is pressing into the leg. And you're sitting up tall because you've got that bar right behind you, so you're not moving back or forward. Inhale, exhale, turn. All right. And then other leg. So sitting evenly. If you need a block under your foot, if the chair is too tall, get that block. And then you'll bring your arm up. Release any skin and flesh on this side and bring your arm down. Take your other hand back and place it wherever it feels that you can release that back shoulder. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. So you can feel the rail at the back, that middle back. Turn around that. And then bring the left side away from the rail. Stay with your breath. And then release. Okay, so now you're going to take the chair away. Stand in Tadasana. So if you have a tall bench or a kitchen table or something that you can bring the pelvis over, you can come over. And now this fits me perfectly from my feet to my hips. So if it didn't fit perfectly, you might have to take a blanket, something to build it up. Or if it was too tall, bring some blocks under your feet to build your feet up. So this just happens to fit right at the top of the thighs. I'm coming forward. And so this is nice for your lower back. Your feet are directly underneath your hips. Your lower back is spread. And then you can release your head down, release your arms down. So here, depending on what feels comfortable, so I can just relax the head down. So the neck is lengthening. The lower back is pretty much neutral. You can also just take your kitchen table or a chair and just bring your forearms onto that, so that, again, you're lengthening the lower back, you're lengthening the middle back, thighs are moving back, and head is completely supported. So as I press my elbows down, I'm opening through that outer armpit chest and lengthening back to the hips. So as I move the hips back, there's length provided through the whole trunk. So just be there, breathe into that. So if my feet were here, my back doesn't lengthen as much. So I want to take them back as far as I can, but I still want to have the feet underneath the hips. Okay. So from your hips, press into your heels. From your inner heel, lift up through the inner leg. And then release. Okay, so I have the horse here. You can also have it at the wall. I just wanted to show you at the horse so you can see if you have any kind of furniture in your house that's a cabinet or a couch, anything that you can lean up against, that's also very appropriate. Not everyone has a free wall. So when you come into this, you're going to shift the weight onto the front foot. The toes are pointing forward, and I have a block here. So this block I have to move because my arm is moving, my trunk is moving. I want to have the hand underneath the shoulder. All right, so from there, I press into that block and I lift the back leg up. So as I lift the back leg, now I'm finding this top of your couch or the top of my horse here, and I bring the head back. Okay, so the whole pelvis is opening up and the back is lengthening. You can keep your hand on your hip. Take the arm up. And with that front leg, lift up. Stay connected in your lower leg at your hip. And as you lift up that leg, just let it rest on whatever it is lifted on. And if you can turn the chest a little bit, like we did in Jathara Parivartanasana, turn and look up. If not, just stay with your head back and look forward. And breathe. Okay, so I can feel here, I feel a little off center. I'm more on the heel, so I'm bringing more weight to the ball of the foot. Now I feel more like the lower leg is in line with the top leg. So be sensitive to what you feel, that alignment. And then coming down, you'll bend the knee, come down carefully, and you'll come to the other side. So if you're using the wall and you don't have anything to bring your leg up onto, just have a chair behind you. So I'll show you with that. Bring the leg up. Just so the leg is supported and the arm is supported on that block. And then turn the chest. You can either keep the hand on your hip or bring the arm up. Keep the firmness in the legs. So you're connecting into the hip socket. Move the tailbone down. And just look forward. Keep the head long, the neck long. And have your chest facing out. And then release. So pregnant women can do this as well. There's no twisting in that. So depending on your body condition, you can do that and take the support that you need. Okay? Okay, you have something to sit on. Bolster or a block. Bring your legs out in front of you and take your legs wide. And then come forward on the chair. So here, you're getting that opening through the legs. The hips are descending, and you're able to lengthen the trunk forward. Rest your head. And again, be with the breath, so you can feel the breath moving towards your lower back. Your hips descending. Keep the legs moving toward the floor. Stay right on the center of the heels. And then rest your head. Soft breath. And then come up. Change into Sukhasana, so cross your legs. Come forward. Again, a little bit of movement in the hips here, so deepening in the hip socket and extending. So the lower back is lengthening down, the abdomen is moving towards your lower back. And then change the cross on the legs. Coming down again. Soft breath. Breathe into the back. Breathe into the lower back, the middle back. And inhale, come up. And now straighten out through your right leg, bend the left leg, Janu-Shirshasana. So as you externally rotate that leg, the femur bone is supported here on the bolster, the foot is on the floor. Make sure the foot is not going under that lengthened leg. And from here, you can come forward and just take your arms forward. Adjust your chair so that your forehead is resting on the chair. Okay, so you're not coming too low, mostly extending, and even lifting the back at this point. You don't have to take your head down, but just getting that extension as you activate the legs, lengthen forward. So again, it depends on what kind of condition you're in right now. If it's okay, then to release your head down, forward bending is okay. Just rest your head. So you're not very deep into this. So for most of you, it should be fine. This thigh is descending, knee is descending, and there's that slight turning. So the back is broadening. So this is not moving back, but you're turning like you did in that twist we did on the floor. The back is turning, and you're resting the head. Inhale, you're going to come up, lengthen out through both legs, and then take the other leg back. Again, it's not underneath the straight leg foot, it's just to the side. And then you come up. Come up from that middle part of the back. So get a little bit of that concave action, holding onto the chair. Same thing that we did in Bujhangasana, where we were lifting up away from the hips. And then walk your hands up that chair. Concave the back, look up. And if it's okay for you, then you can bring your head down onto the chair. Rest your right knee and thigh down onto that bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you're sitting on a blanket or sitting on a block. Release your head, release your neck, your shoulders, and release the breath. And then inhale, come up. And take the legs back out for Dandasana. Sit up straight. And now, so we're going to come up now. We're going to go into Supta Baddhanguliyasana. And I'd like you to have some support. So I'll show this to the side. So have a couple of blankets and have a bolster. If you don't have blankets, get towels. This is really nice to support the legs. So I'm going to use the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, then you just lay flat down on the ground. And I'll take the strap. So I can show you this a little bit more clearly. I'm facing this way, but you can always face the feet to the wall if you don't have a strap. And just bring your toes to the wall. Okay, so I'm going to do the buckle, bring it around my hips. And have the strap pulling towards you. So when you're there, if you want to bring your legs in closer, you can. But if you're having any kind of low back issues, maybe you don't want to come in too close. Just keep the strap fairly loose. And then you'll take your blankets so that you can support your outer legs. So you're not going into the full Baddhanguliyasana. It's a little bit of... Actually, I don't want to use the bolster. So on this, you just come right down onto your back. You can lift your hips, move your hips away. Don't have that strap too tight. And then bring the blankets in so that the legs are releasing towards you. If you don't have a strap, that's okay as well. So I'll show you without the strap. Just coming down, getting that same external rotation you just had in Marjaryasana. Support the legs completely. Bring the feet together, soles of the feet together. And adjust your shoulders so you're even on the shoulders. And roll the arms out, palms facing up. So now here, your abdomen again is coming down onto the floor, making sure you're adjusting the tailbone, the top of the buttocks flesh. Remember when we had our feet on the floor, we pressed into the feet and the buttock flesh was moving down. You can do that and move your ribs away so that the buttock stays there, and then bring your feet together. So here, the abdomen and the whole lower pelvis is relaxing toward the floor, and you can just be there and breathe into that. So we've done quite a few different poses with opening through the hips. So for the lower back especially, I find whenever my back doesn't feel quite right, I need to do a little bit more work in the hips. So that hip work is directly correlated with your pelvis, which is your lower back, which connected to a lot of muscles. And one main one is the psoas muscle, which is connected on the inner thigh and connects at the pelvis and then moves to the lower back. So there's many different muscle groups that are active and that can get tight. So it's best to just try and, because we sit all the time, start to open those hips up and take different positions. So just taking a few more breaths there. Stay connected to your breath. As you stay in a position longer and longer, your breath will slow down, your body will start to release, and you'll feel the effects a lot more than if you just moving around. So if you do have any kind of lower back or middle back pain, staying with the support can bring a lot of relief. So as you breathe, let the back ribs spread, the whole back body. And then to come up, bring your hands onto your body, and you'll roll onto your right side. And then press yourself up. So especially with lower back problems, when you're coming up, you want to, when you're on your side, you roll to one side and use your hands to press yourself up. To come up like this. If you're coming up like this, you're putting a lot of strain on your back, especially if you already have some sort of issue. So rolling onto the side is best, and use your arms to press yourself up. Okay? Do that in the morning when you're getting out of bed as well. All right, so now I'm going to use the chair for Shavasana. Okay, so coming down on your back, and have the chair close enough to you that your hips are directly underneath the chair. Now this chair is pretty good for me. I can move the hips right under the knees, but I could use a little space. So I want your shin bones to be parallel on the chair, so I'm going to bring this blanket. Let's see if this blanket lifts me too much with that fold. Oh, it's about right, okay? Now, someone with really long femur bones, you could put a bolster there, and you can bring your shins onto that bolster. So I want to have my hips directly underneath the femur bone when it's perpendicular to the floor. So that way, the weight can move down into my lower back can spread, the abdomen can relax, and the whole back body is getting a sense of relief and support. And then just take your arms out to the side. So you can stay in Shavasana as long as you like. And just feel that support of the chair. Feel the relaxation coming down through the pelvic area, the abdomen, the front chest. Staying with your breath. When you're ready to come up, bend your knees and roll over onto your right side. Raise that arm and then press yourself up. Okay, there you have it. There's a few options for you if you're having some sort of lower back or middle back issue, or you just feel like you really need to pay more attention to it. Those are some things that will address those areas. So practice and take care. Namaste. Thanks for joining me. I hope you had some relief and you've felt restored through the back area. If you'd like to look at some other classes that I've done on the low back, and also inversions, because inversions, if you're practicing inversions, will be good. So I didn't cover inversions today, but you can find those other videos here. All right? Take care. Namaste.